My name is Ray Beimel, and I'm talking about the early history of St. Mary's. St. Mary's is different than a lot of the towns in central Pennsylvania because we're founded on a dream. The people who started this town in 1842 wanted to have a utopian colony that was dedicated to being German. They bought land up here, came up in October, November of 1842, and on December 8th, which is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception of Mary in the Catholic liturgical calendar, they moved the women and children over, and we celebrate that as the founding day of St. Mary's. They called their town Sankt Marienstadt, which is German for St. Mary's Town. The utopian notion didn't work out like so many utopian communities. My family came here because the idea of having their own place in America was a powerful enough draw. The next thing they knew was that if anything was going to happen here, they had to get on a railroad. So they actively solicited the Philadelphia and Erie Railroad to come this way. The Philadelphia and Erie Railroad came here in 1863. Of course, it was built by Irish laborers, and that brought English to town. It also brought a connection to the outside world. The same railroad that's at the bottom of the diamond is the one that was put there during the Civil War. And now we have two ethnic groups in town, the Germans and the Irish. And of course, in the beginning, they didn't get along well, but then they started intermarrying. And since you can't hate your grandchildren, they got along quite nicely. With the railroad, that opened up the need for coal. And we have not abundant, but sufficient coal deposits here that coal mining became a common occupation. And then it became possible to tap the potential of our huge forests here. Now we had a way to get the lumber out. Steam power made big sawmills possible. We got our first factory in 1884, the St. Mary's Tannery, started by the partnership of James K.P. Hall, who was a lawyer from down in central Pennsylvania, and Andrew Call, who was a native son who was born here in 1845. Other towns around here were dependent on coal. When the coal was gone, they shrunk and disappeared. Elk County is full of ghost towns, but St. Mary's is still prospering because of a decision made by Hall and Call to invest in new businesses. And this becomes what we call the miracle of St. Mary's. In 1899, Andrew Call bankrolled his hunting buddy, Jack Spear, to build Spear Carbon Company. And their first product was brushes, the device that puts the electricity into a direct current motor. And we are still making the materials for direct current brushes in St. Mary's in the same building 114 years later. So our prosperity is based on something that has nothing to do with a natural resource. It has to do with our skills, our expertise. With the exception of the nitrogen plant, every other business, large or small, that manufactures anything in St. Mary's was started by somebody from St. Mary's. Now, many of them, the bigger companies, are owned internationally, but they started here. They put their money, put their personal fortune, and they banked everything that they were going to make a product that was going to sell. And I think that's very unique among manufacturing communities. But one of our most important products is we have raised a lot of good people to send to make other communities good places like ours. When it comes to the sense of religious principles, strength of family, community cooperation, a sense of this is our place and we made it and it's ours to take care of, that is one of the hallmarks of this place.